When Kelsey and I were married, we had each come from a family of origin, right? And we liked each other, we liked being near each other, but we committed on that day to be together until death do us part. But we all know, you and I, anybody who's ever lived in this world, we know that human commitment can be fragile. It can be frail. And because we're faulty humans, our commitments can be frail. And in order for our marriage to endure and be fruitful, I want both of those things for you if you're married. I don't want you to just endure. I want for you to step into God's best and for your marriage to be fruitful. In order for that to happen, we must rely not only on our commitment to each other, but God's commitment to us. When we stood in front of God, family, and friends in June of 1997, we did a thing, but God also did a thing. How many of you have kids? And how many of them have used Elmer's glue before? Huh? This is sometimes you find things that are stuck together you don't even want stuck together. Well, when we stood in front of God, family, and friends, the Lord actually did a thing. We did a thing, and God did a thing. And He applied His bonding agent to our relationship. It is a crazy thing for me as a pastor to walk to the front of a room with a couple, say words, and then recognize that at the end of that time of saying words, that God has promised to do a thing, that two become one flesh. This is one of the most ancient miracles of creation. Now, it's tempting for us to think, because we all have difficulties in our marriages, it's tempting for us to think that we could just, separate and go our separate ways with no consequences. But anyone who's been divorced will tell you, even when it is necessary, it's not that simple. Well, imagine you went out to lunch and it was sunny, and you put this on the dashboard of your car and you let it dry in that sunshine. And then you came back and you tried to separate these two pieces of paper. What's going to happen? It's going to be harm done. It's possible for you to separate from your spouse, but you cannot avoid the pain that's involved in that. But Jesus unflinchingly warns us not to separate what God has joined together. If you're divorced, you may be thinking, Joe, I've already been divorced. Does this mean that because God's plan for marriage is for us to operate in His power, and that hasn't happened for some combination of reasons and hasn't been possible, does that mean that I'm somehow forever doomed? No. Please hear me. No. I hate to say this, but I feel like I need to say this out loud. Unfortunately, sometimes divorce is the answer. Like when a spouse is being abused, okay? I've never been happy about a marriage ending because I know there's great pain for everybody involved. But just because you're married doesn't mean someone gets to harm you. And divorce is not the unforgivable sin. And divorced people are not forever on plan B for life. When we look at what God's intent is for marriage and the power that he has applied and the cautions that he's issued, I hope that that warning makes sense of some of the pain you may have experienced. When the relationship that God intended to be life-giving forever is not, then great pain is the result. But we serve a merciful Savior who cares about the pain that you have been through. With Jesus, it is possible for you to not let that pain rule the rest of your life and your relationships. I hope that you will seek the healing that Jesus has available for you. He loves you with an everlasting love, and he will never break his commitment to you. Our God is faithful no matter what you have experienced.